Welcome everybody to your next episode with your Legacy Wealth Capital Group. I got my partners Sean and Kyle in the building. How you guys feeling today?
Good, good, great.
Good, good, outstanding, outstanding.
I'm gonna have to get me a U.S. Air Force veteran hat so me
There
and
you
Sean
go.
can win the battle.
That's right. That's right.
Kyle got to get a new hat. It's retired. The hat is retired too.
There it
You gotta
is.
get you a fresh one.
I know. You know what? Actually, I got two of these, and basically what happened was I said to myself, I said, man, I got to get another one. I got to get another one. So I need a new. Sean got a nice, brand new, flashy one, so I got to get
Crisp.
another one. I'm gonna have to order it today.
It is crisp. The topic I want to cover today, and we're not gonna keep you guys long. We're gonna jump in, jump out. But there's something that I wanted to bring up from our call last night with our clients. We have a client who jumped on the call, and the first thing she said was, I've been working. Since the last challenge that we had back in March, what we did was we did a challenge on building, scaling, funding your business and how to build to sell. So the challenge was the build to sell challenge. And we're actually going to do a webinar a little bit later this month. You'll see some announcements come out to kind of redo that, but we're going to condense it. Instead of it being a 4 day, we're just going to do 3 hours and give you really, really jam packed and intense work in 3 hours. But what she said was, since that challenge, I took the lessons you gave, the information that we taught, the action plan, and I went to work. She said that she got 8 new clients and she hadn't even had started that product really, that service. It was brand new. She had the thought and she had talked about it before, but she hadn't launched it yet. And so really after the challenge we had, the challenge was to launch it, actually do the work. And she's been doing the work. And we talked about a little bit last night with her some of that imposter syndrome. I didn't actually say that to her last night, but that's actually what she's going through. Imposter syndrome, where she got a lot of clients. She's scared, kind of fearing the growth, what'll happen. Is she really going to be able to take care of these clients? What does it look like to hire, train, and bring other people on? So now she's moving into the real world of business. So the topic that I thought about today was taking action in your business. Because she isn't the only person that was on that challenge. There were many others on that challenge, and I haven't really heard anything from them. They don't come in the community. They don't talk about what they're doing. They don't really follow up to the outreaches. And this is something that I've seen in community after community after community after community. I've taught, trained, and been a part of many communities with thousands of people. And I've noticed similar things in all of them. You have people that are there, they want information, they have a goal, a dream, ideas, but they never really take action. And so they sit around, I guess, either life gets in the way, either the job gets in the way, or whatever gets in the way, but they never really take action on that thing that they said they wanted the most. And for me, a business can't grow unless you take action. So I want to kick it off to you guys from just hearing what she talked about last night. How important is taking action in your business? And Tony Robbins used to say, don't just take action, take massive action, make a big leap, a big move. So give me your guys' thoughts and opinions on just what she talked about and that taking action in the business.
I'll go first. First of all, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to my one of my partners, Kyle Freeman. He'll be 90 years old tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Uh, you know, I understand. I
I
understand.
definitely feel like it. That's funny, Sean.
I understand the fear, right? Anytime you start something, and I won't say it's new because she's been in it for a while, but anytime you start something and you think about expanding or you thinking about starting it up, there's a certain fear that comes with it, right? For me personally, I always have the fear if I don't do it, right? I always have the fear that if I don't do it, if I don't start my business, how will I end up? Right? If I don't try, me personally, I would rather fail and start than not start and, have that opportunity pass me by. We got to understand in this life, we got a small window of opportunity. Some people get two and three chances, but most people only get one. We have to take advantage of it when it comes. She said, what if she gets too many clients? I mean, that's a good
Hmm.
thing, right? Why is it a good thing? Because you can always, well, let me back up a little bit. We always tell people to hire somebody to replace you, right? To make your work less complicated, less hard, right? Because we always want to work harder, smarter, not harder, right? So if you're expanding and she's worried about that problem as expanding, either you hire people to kind of take your place, so both of you guys can battle it now, and you get an override off of this person, or for my case, like when I started expanding, when I was doing insurance, I hired people to do a lot of the work for me, and I ended up, I was the closer or whatever, you know, but at least I was able to be a lot more productive. And it's all about having a system. If you put a system in place, everybody follows the rules. Usually everything will be a lot smoother, especially when you expand. A lot of people couldn't understand my numbers. I had probably three people calling for me,
Hmm.
organizing stuff for me, doing paperwork for me. So I was able to get a lot more done. And that's what it's all about right there.
Yeah, I would actually add on to that because basically, um, what I really enjoyed about hearing from one of our students is that results. Results. So what happens is when you have an opportunity, see, like you said, Tyrus, there was other people that were there, but what did they do? That's why I share people. Knowledge is not power. It's not power. We can give enough knowledge to everybody, but when you apply the knowledge, that's the power. And what she did was she went out and she applied. We said the same thing to everybody. We talk to tons of people all the time, but it's what they do with the knowledge that we share with them. And what's great is that, I mean, we've got another student that, just launched his first Regulation CF. So, there's people that are going through this course, and it's the ones that ask the questions. Questions mean genuine interest. When they're just there and we just see them on there, or they're just sitting there like a bump on the log, we don't know. What are you doing? You might be twiddling your fingers. You might be looking at something in the background or watching, the Knicks game or whatever, anything. You know what I mean? But the people that are paying attention, going to the next level, that's what we're proud of. That's what we're talking about. So I'm just jacked out of my mind for them.
Yeah, I like that, Kyle, what you said right there, especially, and this is not just taking action in the business, meaning I'm doing the day to day, the nuts and bolts of things that I need to do to make my business grow, but it's also taking action and being present because being present is an action. You have to purposefully be present in order to receive information. And that's a key point that you said because I sit in a lot of communities and I notice that people are off camera. You don't know where they are. They don't ask any questions. What are you here for? Are you really getting the information? I don't know if you're moving or not. And that's because you're not here. And I used to join a lot of calls where people would say, well, if you could turn on your camera, it'd be great. It helps with the experience, it helps with the atmosphere. Yes, it does. But also it helps you at the end of the day. Because if you're not present, you're not gonna move. And when you don't move, you get stuck in the same position that you've always been in. And when you're stuck, most people don't blame themselves, they blame somebody else. Well, the coaching program ain't work. Well, the information didn't work for me. I remember Eve used to say it'll work if you work it. And it ain't working because you ain't working. You ain't got there because you ain't got there. Like it's you at the end of the day. And most people just sit and sit and sit and never take movement. And the gentleman that you were talking about that launched his regulation CF just recently, when he came on, he said, there's some things that I still have questions about. And I told him, go get all your questions answered. Take action. Like even for him to say, I've been thinking about this for a whole week. You know how much time a whole week is to sit around and think about a thing? Stop thinking. I
Yeah.
was telling, as I mentioned to you guys last night, the sprint that I'm about to do with our team to hit us get massive numbers in a short amount of time. One of the guys, as I was going through the strategy, was like, and you hear what I just said? As I was going through the strategy, his response was, there's some things that we can strategize about. No, there's no more strategy. This is the strategy. Now it's time to do. And I think what most business owners don't realize and they don't understand when it's about taking action, it's you have a business idea, then you have a go to market strategy, and then you have to do the thing. Business just doesn't formulate and become.
Yeah.
Myron Golden talks about, oh, is it do,
Do be
do,
have.
yeah,
Yeah. Do be have.
do, be,
Do
have.
be have. Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to be it. You got to get it. And that's how you have it. You don't, I, a lot of people I talk about when they talk about they want 6-figure, 7-figure businesses. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing every day? They do all this back end work, but they never go to market. They're not talking to clients. They don't run any marketing. They don't do anything. Even last night, because I'm not calling none of our students names, but the guy who said he's got his Reg D 506C. And I said, okay, how are you marketing it? I'm not.
It's not going to sell itself. It's
Right.
not going to sell itself.
Right. And you know what? When he said that, showing that remind me of that guy that met you in the bathroom. When
Oh,
we
yeah.
were doing that conference, the guy met you in the bathroom. Had a
Yeah.
regulation CF, regulation 506C for over a
506C.
year. And
Yep.
like, how many investors you got? None. You paid all this money for regulation 506C, and you've got no investors. And then he
And
was
we,
paying to extend it every
yeah.
year. No investors.
But what's the reason to get a 506C? Yeah, we have what we have here, right? We have a call room in the Philippines that help find investors, right? And qualify them and stuff like that, right? But what is the job as a CEO when you have a vehicle to raise capital? Your job is to get the capital in. You're the driver of the ship. What are you waiting on? Just don't get it. I
They're
don't get
waiting
it.
on it to fall. They just think, just like people with, got a great example. I'm running a marketing campaign and the people are like, okay, where are the sales at? You're running a cold campaign to cold traffic. Yes, some sales will come from that, but you have to nurture them. Like, where's your network? Where are the people that are going to be at the event that's on the stage? Are they sharing it with their warm network? Are they pushing it via emails? Like, what? Marketing is a holistic approach. You just don't turn a button and make millions of dollars. It doesn't work that way. And I think people sit around, whether it's selling a product, selling a service, raising capital, they think that I'm just so great that I'm going to sit here. Don't nobody know you. They don't care. But you think that it's just going to fall, just like the other gentleman we was working with, that I told him, you got the regulation CF. Now go everywhere and share. Oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Kyle said that he gonna get me all the money. Like what? It don't work that way.
Right.
You gotta do your part. And Sean, you said that great. And Kyle, I see that you came off mute, so I'm gonna let you jump in. You as a CEO have responsibilities, and it's not just to sit up and tell everybody else what to do. A person even told me, they were like, sometimes people have co-CEOs where you have a CEO that does strategy and back end, and then you have a CEO that goes to market and they're the front facing. Now, different organizations break that up differently. Maybe you have a CEO and then you have a Steve Jobs, or you have a Bill Gates and you have a somebody else, or you have a Warren Buffett, then you got a Charlie Munger. Like, there are people that one's front facing, one's in the back.
Mhm.
And a lot of you guys are still solo. And so you're not doing the back well nor the front. And you expect that if I just go on social media and make a couple posts, that people are going to be beating your door down. And that's not the right action to take in your business. You're not actually executing on what will make your business be successful.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny that you said it because I got 2 points. But the first point is this: I love to watch, you know, National Geographic's The Animal Channel, and we can learn a lot from animals because animals have a survival inherent, you know, survival tactics that they use. And so, for instance, one of the things that we used to always talk about when we were basically, you know, one of the pitches that we would use or rebuttal, the wolf is only as strong as the pack. The lone wolf doesn't survive. Now, so we used to say that, and I was like, look, so, you know, hey, look, you got to be a part of this. You got to be in. You know, and it's funny, we talk about community. So you got to be a part of it. You got to get in there. So again, even if you have the information and knowledge, you got to be a part of the pack. You got to surround yourself with other people that are thinking, that are doing things. But it's not just the wolf. How do lions travel? They travel in a pride. How do elephants travel? They travel in, you know, a group, a herd. How do cattle and buffalo and all the they do these things for a reason? What is it for? It's for survival, and they know it inherently. And so what happens is we need to be surrounded by other like minds that are doing things. And what happens is, and I hate to say this, but we as a people have been taught to separate. They've made us separate, get apart from each other. So we don't understand that coming together. And I hate to put it in that perspective, but when you know, when Sean and I got introduced to who we got introduced to, and this, we realized that, you know, we saw people that should have been what we would consider opponents. They were studying together. Where do we always meet the people who do what? And bullies, right?
Bully.
Bullies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All of the people that were in the finance committee or in that community, we all knew where to go. It was bullies. Only place in town. You got to go to bullies. And what we doing? Everybody was in finance. Everybody was doing something. But that was the spot to go to. That was the herd. That was the pack. That was us coming together and getting knowledge and information. And what we're doing with our community is the same exact thing. And so seeing, you know, our students get results because not only are they getting the information, but now they're implementing it. And when they're implementing it, they're getting execution. And my last point that I want to say is this, is that all of us being in the military. So I know all of us have went through a change of command. What happens when you get a new CO? He implements his ideas, his thoughts, his things. Now we already know what to do, right? But why when he comes in, he or she, whoever it may be, they implement their strategy, their thought process, their things, and we now got to do it their way. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's probably why we are who we are and what we do because we got the chance to see that. And I want to say from a giraffe's point of view, not from a turtle's view.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's
You
good.
know, I was always told to ask for the money, right? Mommy, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yep. Loud
You
and
guys can hear
clear.
me, right? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I was always told to ask for the money, right? If you don't ask for the money, they used to always say, you know, Sean, closed mouths don't get fed. You got to ask for the money, right? These people with the CFs and 506Cs and stuff, if they're not asking for the money, the reason why they're not, that's the reason why they don't have any money, any investment money, because they're not asking anybody for it. Nobody is just going to give it to you, right? It's going to be extremely difficult unless you walking around and I mean, even if Elon Musk don't open up his mouth, he won't get a single dollar. Nobody's walking up to him and say, "Hey, here's my money," right? He has to talk. So you have to ask for the money anytime you have an investment vehicle. I don't care if you have other people working for you, as far as like, for example, our call room or whatever. The CEO's main job is to ask for the money.
That's good. I think the other part is, and I'm just taking from things that we talked about and heard last night on the call with our community, our students. Another thing that the guy was waiting on with his Reg D was, I'm like, where's the platform that you're using to raise the money?
mhm,
And he's been waiting on a website to be built. I think he said for several weeks, and that they're in India, and that it's slow. And for me, this is what I run into all the time with business owners, especially startups. I understand that cash is limited. I would rather you save two, three, $4,000 and get a legitimate site built than try to spend $200, $300, $400 for someone off of Fiverr who takes 8 weeks and then it doesn't function. Then you got to spend another 500. Then you got to spend another 500. Then you got to spend another 500. By the time you add up all the money you waste on trying to do it cheaper, you've paid the amount that it takes to get it done right the first time. And I think business owners need to think bigger. Kyle, I know you weren't talking about this in that way, but when you look from a giraffe's view and you see the landscape, you see the bigger picture, you will then not have a turtle view of trying, oh, I gotta spend the least amount of money I can. No, if you want to launch something, you gotta launch something. That's why it's take massive action, not a little bit of action. And you might say, well, Tyrus, I don't have the money right then. Well, wait. Or go and ask. Because we're talking about raising capital from a general solicitation standpoint with a actual instrument. You can borrow some money from family and friends, and if you're paying them back, just use a promissory note. Get started some kind of way in a legitimate way. I'll be honest with you. I am tired of people trying to nickel and dime their way to millions of dollars. I don't even understand the mentality. I don't even understand how you expect it. I'll give another example, Kyle, and I'll let you jump in. I'm working with a team. There's a closer on that team who has confidence issues. I know that the confidence issues stem from him never purchasing a high ticket product, him personally. So how can you sell something that costs $8,000 to somebody if you've never paid that money? You don't even feel confident saying the words, it's $8,000. When I listen to the recordings, I hear the uhs, the ums, we can break it down, or maybe we could change it up. And recently it was well, if you don't like it, you can get your money back. No, you don't tell them that.
Right.
That's not, you are selling for them. You are selling yourself and negotiating. That's what they call negotiating against yourself, because you don't have enough confidence, because you haven't invested. And for every business owner that's listening, until you put real investment into your business, your products will not sell. Your service will not sell, because people are going to feel that conversation when they're talking to you. You're not going to have the confidence to pitch it because you've never took the action yourself of investing in yourself and in your business. Now, am I saying be like the other end of the spectrum and go out and spend $30,000, $40,000 on a logo, on a website because somebody told you that branding was going to make your business blow up and all you got to do is have a beautiful brand and do nothing else? No, but I want all of you to come to the middle. Don't go spend extravagant amount of money when you just get started, and don't attempt to do it with $0 when you just get started. Find a happy middle ground that makes sense. And you might say, well, how do I know if it makes sense? Well, if you ask a Fiverr person to build you a website and they tell you it's $500, a guy told me, I can get a website on Fiverr for $250. I said, great. Let me know how it looks. Ask how it looks. See some work. Ask for timelines. And then if you notice that it's taking a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and you're not hearing nothing, you're not getting any results, then you made the wrong decision. And at that point, that's okay. Just don't do it again. Seek out a professional.
Yeah. I was always taught, inspect what you expect. Mm-hmm. So I'm, when I heard that they had their own 506, the first thing that kind of came to my mind is, who is the SEC attorney that's backing that? because if someone did their own 506, I don't know if you understand a 506c, that's general solicitation and that's unlimited, capital rate. Who is the attorney that signed off on that? And then you need to check, does that attorney have any fleas? Are there any complaints? Are there any
Mhm.
issues with that? So now you say you're getting a website and it's done in India. That right there makes me already question, where'd you get the 506 done? Was that done in India too? I want to understand that. So, it's kind of like, it was frightening to hear that, but we're like, wow, you went through our class and you say, yeah, I got my own 506. And I know what we charge for 506, which is reasonable. So I'm just wondering who backed that, because again, when you need that attorney to be able to back up that 506 SEC fender and somebody wants to challenge it or whatever, something goes against it, you know, if you're trying to get that thing, you're trying to take it public, you're trying to get those investors to go to the next level. Um, is that SEC attorney going to sign off on those opinion letters? I don't know. So inspect what you expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I told the other guy too about when he was talking about the trust, the corporations, the LLCs. Like, I was always taught to tell an attorney what you want, make sure they can make it legal and they can defend it.
Hmm.
But there's also attorneys out there that will just do what you ask them to do.
Hmm.
So, do you actually need a trust right now? Probably not. It depends
Yeah.
on your level of income. Do you need all these LLCs and holding companies right now?
Probably not.
Depends on your level of income.
No.
But you can get the right attorney that you tell that joker, hey, I want 5 LLCs, I want 2 holding companies, I want a trust. They'll put it all together and send you a bill. And you don't know how to operate none of it.
Yeah.
Move it, nothing. So that's a good point to inspect what you expect. But also, you got to get off of social media. Oh, we lost our good friend. You got to jump off social media and really get with people who are going to teach you, educate you, and help you.
Yeah, YouTube University sometimes is not your friend. And I know what we do with the class and everything. I know that after people hear it, they get on there and they go to YouTube University. And again, for the level that we deal with and the complexity of some of the things that we are, the instruments, the financial instruments that we're introducing people to that they've never seen before. Once they kind of hear what we've talked about and what we've done, then what they'll do is they'll go to YouTube University. And again, that might not be the best. You can go there, you can get 5 different, views of the same thing. And,
Exactly.
how do you know which one is correct? And if you pick the wrong one to follow, you could have made, you're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars correcting that bad issue or that bad mistake. So, yeah, I would always, again, that's what I said. It's so important. Inspect what you expect and make sure whoever you're talking to, again, people hear us talk about it, but they don't understand the fleet of folks that we got behind us. We might just be out here up front talking about it, but the people that are behind us, the years and years and years of experience and what they've done and the accomplishments that they've done, that's why we were able to do the things that we were able to do. Not because we were so smart, but because we had smart people that were backing us and pushing
Yeah.
us where we need to be.
And you need that every time. Like, that's going to always be my default answer. I don't necessarily want you asking me legal questions because I'm not an attorney. I don't
Yeah.
know how to set it up and to structure it. Don't come asking me no tax questions. Well, when should I start electing to be an S corp? Because I heard that when you talk to a CPA,
Yeah.
like, these people are there for a reason. And if you're trying to step over dollars to save pennies, that's what happens. You will actually. I learned this lesson the hard way. I wouldn't even say it's the hard way. It was just when I finally went to a CPA, when it got too busy for me, she was like, okay, it's going to cost you this. I'm like, ooh, but it was too busy. But then when I paid it and they ran it, she was like, of all these years, you've lost thousands of dollars and we can get that back because you ain't filed that right, you ain't do this right. So after we got the money back from doing the refilings, it paid for their fee. The first, I think, 2 or 3 years worth of fees.
Mm.
Go to the professional.
Yeah.
I'm like everybody else. I go on YouTube and I listen and I say, I don't even now. I don't really say that sound like a good idea. Now I kind of have a different sensor. I'm like, that sound like it's crazy. That sound like you'll end up in jail doing that. But I will take that information to an attorney that I trust or a CPA that I trust, and I will ask them, "Can you really do this?" And now I see that there are um, CFP, certified financial planners, there are CPAs, there are attorneys out there that they are going after these get rich quick or these money influencers, and they
Yeah.
chopping their videos down. They're like, oh, this is a scam. Here's why all of this is a scam. And now they challenging them on that information, and rightfully so, because you are taking people's hard-earned money and they just falling for it. But as we get ready to wrap up, the purpose, of our conversation was today to just share with you that if you have an idea, you validate that idea. And the only way you validate is to go to market, and you take massive action with focus, you will go from zero to IPO.
Yeah.
The clients prove it. The testimonials prove it. The people talking and sharing with us prove it. I had 0 clients in March. I got 8 clients today. And I feel like I'm going to have too many to handle soon. That's a great problem to start from zero. And like Sean said, she had a business before and it's related to her business, but this is a new product line or a new service line. This is something new. And she said she wants to do. I said, do it. Take these steps, do this action plan, and just do it. I am literally talking to people every day that I've been talking to for 2 or 3 years that are still putting out a course. I'm still recording the videos. I'm about to launch. It's been 3 years. How ready do you have to be? I get closing words from both of you.
You're never going to get 100% ready. It's always going to be something. Always.
Exactly. I think what I heard somebody say about wealthy people or successful people is not that they don't fail, is that they fail fast and they just keep going. And they don't need 100% readiness to make the move. They just know what they want. They're going to try it. It's either going to work or not work. And either way, they're going to tweak it and they're going to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So taking action in your business is how you reach success. Sean, what's your final thoughts on the topic?
I'll just say this story. When I first became a broker, right after I got my license, everybody clapped the fives and high-fiving me and everything. And the manager was like, okay, go sell. And I'm like, well, I don't have a pitch, And he said, well, make it up as you're going, but go sell. Talk to people. Yeah, they'll come to you. Just talk to people. First time I started selling insurance, got my license. He said, hey, man, congratulations. I go out there and sell. I'm like, well, I don't have a pitch or anything, right? And he said, well, hey, go ahead, just talk to him about the product. Go ahead, go sell. What did that tells me a couple of things, right? First thing is, first of all, you got to get over that fear factor, right? Because I had to get over that fear factor. Second is I failed a lot. And I felt, like you said, I failed pretty fast, right? But slowly and surely it started to come to me. And what I would do is I would self-analyze myself to where maybe I shouldn't say this next time, right? So that the next time I went out and the person asked me a question or did a certain thing, I wouldn't say the same thing that caused me to fail before, right? And I ended up developing my own pitch, and I became very successful in doing it after that. And I could use that. I used the pitch in North Carolina. I used the pitch in California, and I'm making sales, right? So everything is not going to be in your favor all the time, right? And sometimes you just have to if you know your product, if you know the industry and the problems. I mean, excuse me, and your product and your industry, and you know the statistics and everything like stuff like that. As far as if you're pitching your company, remember, don't pitch your product when you're pitching investors. If you're pitching your customer, speak to them. And if something is working, don't change it, right? Don't change it just because you didn't get one sale or two sales. I got so good to where I would never go 0 for 3. Never. I might go 0 for 2, then I would have 4 in a row, or 3 in a row, or 6 in a row. But I would never go 0 for 3 as far as selling, right? And it was because I learned it, and I repeated everything that I said over and over and over and over again. And generally people have the same rebuttals, right?
Yep.
So you got the same answers for them. And then you always hit people with the close, rebuttal bullet close, right? That's what we always taught. And if you are a CEO, remember to ask for the money. Ask them for the money. Don't ask for $1,000. Don't ask for $2,000 or $500. You ask. It's always better to ask for something more, so that people say, "Man, I can't afford that," and then reduce it down. Then to know, right? You pitch somebody for $1,000. Oh man, I would have gave you $50,000. now you can. Well, let me get to 50. No, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So you always ask them for something they say no on, because they might say yes, rather than they're going to have it, but they can have a lot more, and they might be willing to give you a lot more. So
That's good, Mr. Kyle. What you got?
No, one thing that I'm ditto everything that Sean said, but I just wanted to say, man, Tyrus, I'm so proud of what you have, the level you have taken us to. I think, the people that are listening to this and are viewing this, first of all, thank you for your time being on board with us and listening. But I mean, we always tell people, hey, look, as you start your business is not how your business is going to end up. And so one of the things that Sean and I did, we saw that there was a need for this, when we got a chance to be on tour and we just noticed something. So those of you that are out there and you're thinking and you maybe got ideas or something like that, like just do it. You know what I mean? And Nike's not the first one to come up with that. It actually was Coach, from Art Williams, A.O. Williams, but he's the one, Art Williams went, just do it, just do it some more. And that's really what, that's our mantra. I mean, Sean and I have been doing this for over 37 years, Hey, look, why did we go public? Because nobody told us we couldn't. You know what I mean? We were minority owned, publicly traded, public utility, but nobody said we couldn't do it. So we did it because that's our mindset. There's no limit. There's nothing. And so now meeting up with you match our thought process, the way we think, the way we push. And so now all of a sudden we're bringing things to you and you're like, no limit. So I applaud you on having the discernment to listen to what we said, and then to take on the mantra and now push, Sean and I further. So I 100% applaud you on that. And you have now turned us, for those of you that are watching, you're watching right before your eyes, because people were saying, oh, Sean and Kyle, y'all did that, 20 some years ago. Yeah. But guess what? We're doing it again. Ain't nothing like and guess what? And now we 20 years better. So it is actually, again, it is astonishing. It's amazing. And I'm 100% grateful, Tyrus, that you saw the vision. So just like our students are seeing the vision, you saw the vision and you took it that much further. So I applaud you on that.
Real quick, Tyrus, I just want to interject real quick. When we had our company, JMI Telecom, right, we started off as a reseller, right? So we thought we struck gold, right? We was like, okay, man, we got it now, man. All we're going to do is ride this to the moon, right? But then it's like, man, we can make more money. Well, let's see if we can do our own service now, right? So we figured out a way to where we could sign with Bell South, and we started our own phone service. Now we have JMI Telecom, the phone service. Man, they got this new technology coming out. It's supposed to be taking over the world, called voice over IP, VoIP. So we started reselling that, right?
Yeah, we were reselling it
We're
first, and then
reselling.
they were only giving us 10%.
Yep.
But it was crazy because the activation was a $40 activation fee,
Yep.
and you figured it out. You're like, well, where's this activation fee going? And we're
Yep.
like, Sean, that's 100% profit.
Yeah. Right. So,
$40 activation fee for everybody.
right.
100% profit.
But we figured out we can get our own, right? As far as the cell phone service, we was like, man, we can get our own. So, like Cal said, started out one way, then we augmented to another way, right? But the thing about it is we adjusted. We always adjusted and maneuvered. That's what a lot of business owners don't get, you know. They want to steer the ships in a straight path, right? But sometimes you have to deviate behind or you have to go around all the obstacles and stuff like that. Nothing's straight and easy, right? You always got to start off somewhere, but you got to adjust along the way. One last thing I got to say is, do you remember what time I texted you, Tyrus, about the crowdfunding things we was talking about?
Was it 4 o'clock in the morning?
4 o'clock in the morning. I was up like 2 o'clock in the morning because it was just bothering me. It was bothering me. Right. And I would have texted you earlier, but I was like, man, this wife might think it's like another woman texting him or something. So I was itching at 4 o'clock. I was like, oh my God, okay, send, you know. But you know, we're always working. We're always trying to figure this out. And we don't have all the answers, but we're always trying to figure it out to get better. Seriously. You know? And we just and that's what it takes to be a CEO. You got to figure it out, you know, and you got to always strive to get better.
I love it. I love it. Well, good people, we're going to let y'all get out of here. If you don't take away anything, take away this: taking massive action and pivoting and making it work despite the obstacles is how you reach success. And to Sean's point, we're doing something else, and we're moving and we're building and we're growing and we're continuing to grow. If you stay stagnant, you stay stuck. If you don't create movement, your body begins to die. That's it. If you just sit, you get worse. Your business is exactly the same. If you're sitting in the same space you were sitting in last year, saying the same thing, blaming everybody else, it's your fault. Take massive action in your business and you'll reach whatever levels you want to reach. We appreciate you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
God bless, guys.
Yeah, bye-bye, everybody.